Hey guys, so I know this isn't my normal backdrop. I am up closer to the hamster cages because today's video is going to be a review on their nightly dinner routine, and I'm also going to be sort of picking apart the ingredients of 3 popular hamster and gerbil foods. And it's going to be kind of a boring video, so this is definitely one to watch while you're cleaning. Lots of ingredients and big words and things that, you know, kind of boring. Anyway, but keep on watching if you're interested. And go. Okay, so as you saw in my introductory video, Lady has 2 tiers to her cage, and her top tier is where her wheel stays and her food bowls. I like to keep them up here so she doesn't get bedding in them, so she doesn't hide fruits and vegetables in her bedding and she ends up with mold. So that's why she keeps hers on the second tier. She doesn't have any problem with it. She loves going up and down and climbing around, and she is comfortable to go wherever she wants to go. Down here with these little guys, this is just some thicker, heavy-duty cardboard that they haven't attempted to chew on. If they were showing signs that they were going to chew on it or try to eat it, I would definitely pull it out of there. But I think because they were only fed in one deeper bowl, that they would pull their food out, and then it was just a mess. I opened their cage this morning and there were little pellets everywhere, their bowls were dumped over. So I put it on this harder cardboard so they can actually sit and eat without having to take their food and run from each other with it. And the 2 wheels are in here. This was Lady's wheel and this was the wheel they came with. They are comfortable with it, so I am going to leave it in there just because I don't want to have to buy a second wheel, as selfish as that sounds. Neither of them have gotten hurt on this wheel. Oh, there's my brightness. And they're used to this. In the long run, if I end up keeping them, because as of right now, it's just going to be more of a rehabilitate and then rehome situation. But if we actually end up keeping them, they will definitely be getting another KAYTEE silent spinner in the size mini. There they are, picking at their mealworms. They love the mealworms, which is great because Harriet's actually a little bit underweight at the moment. I was holding her and there were ribs everywhere. So it's okay for her to go for something that high fat, just partially why it's in there to sort of supplement her weight gain. But at some point I'll probably have to pull it out so she has to eat her real veggies. Alright, so that is it for what I feed the hamsters and their nightly routine. Okay, so moving on to the second half of the video, I'm going to be doing a thorough investigation / review of 3 popular hamster and gerbil foods. The first one being the Oxbow that I feed now, and the other 2 are going to be the most commonly purchased hamster and gerbil foods off of Petco, or from Petco. And so let's just dive right into the first food. So I feed my hamsters the Oxbow Essentials hamster and gerbil food. And it looks like this, and I love it. It is about $7 to $8 a bag, so for a hamster and gerbil food it is, $1, $2 more. I always order my stuff off of Chewy, so it's closer to $6 or $7 in that range. But a few key points are about this food is that it has 15% protein, which is really good, so they can't just pass it through their bodies without absorbing any nutrients, and it'll make them feel full. It has 4.5% fat. My hamster does not run marathons, so she does not need a super high fat content in her food. For Harriet and Winnie, they could actually benefit from a little bit higher fat content in their food because they are skinnies. I know it doesn't look like that because they're always curled up in their little fluff ball, cotton ball. But when I was actually holding them and handling them and they stretched out, you could really see how deficient they were and where they didn't have a lot of body mass, where normally you would see body mass on some robo hamsters. So that being said, this works perfectly for Lady, and these guys are getting mealworms to sort of supplement that fat content that they're missing until they gain back some more average, so they have a more average body style. That made no sense. So they can get chubbies like regular hamsters. Okay, I also love this food because it has about 10 to 15% fiber content, which is great because they can't pass it really quickly, but it's also not so much fiber that it could cause them to get impacted or cause any kind of dietary issues. I do like the fiber content because I know that they are prone to getting diarrhea, and that can be fatal for them. And with a fiber content this high, it really gives me peace of mind that, diarrhea is not right around the corner. It also has vitamin D3 in about 900 international units per kilogram. I know that was like a lot of words, but it really is a big deal because vitamin D3 is what helps them absorb phosphorus and calcium, which gives them good bone density. And you don't want to end up with a hamster that has weak bones by any means because of how active they are. They could easily, fracture something if they have any kind of osteoporosis or weakening of the bones. I also did like a little pros and cons list, and for pros, the vitamin D3 supplement was like first thing on my pros list. I was like, boom! They also have vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin B12 supplements in their food, in the Oxbow, which is so good. It has no artificial colors. I got really excited when I saw that. The pellets, they are all, let me just grab one. They are all these little alfalfa Cheerio type situations, so they can't selectively pick what they want. So if you have a mixed food and they only eat the sunflower seeds, they're only going to get the nutrients from that sunflower seeds and not everything in the bag, if that makes sense. Some cons for me. Oh, and I also love the bag. All 3 foods that I'm reviewing come with a resealable top. Good plastic, good seals. You can reseal it and store it almost anywhere and it'll stay fresh inside. The moisture content is only about 10%, so that, it won't mold right away because it doesn't have all these super duper moist, raw nuts and things like that. Some cons, it does have salt a little bit higher up on the ingredient list than I would prefer. It also has preservatives in it. Not a lot. I mean, they are very bottom of the list, but it's still, I understand why it's there, but if ever I find a food that gives them this entire vitamin spectrum in pellet form that doesn't have preservatives or artificial colors, I would go for that one instead of one that has any preservative at all, if that makes sense. Alright, so next food I'll be reviewing, this is one of the foods that I saw on Petco that was one of their most popular hamster and gerbil foods, and is the KAYTEE FortiDiet ProHealth hamster and gerbil food. And the protein content is about 13.5%, so it's not as high as the Oxbow, but it's not under 10%, so it's still a really good solid number. It is gonna stay in their gut and process without just flying through them like a cheap carbohydrate based diet would. It does have a 6% fat content, which is higher than what Lady needs, but it actually would fit perfectly for my little guys down here because they need to gain some weight at the moment. It does have at a maximum 10% fiber, which is that's right at the cutoff for me. I would prefer to have 10 to 15%, a variable in there, rather than a maximum of 10% So it's still not bad, but it's not the best. That means that, it's still going to pass through a little bit quicker than a solid 15% fiber diet will. They didn't actually have the vitamin percentages listed. Like the Oxbow bag actually had the vitamin percentages listed in their percentages graph. These did not, but they do have in the ingredient list, they have B12, E, D3, and A supplements. It also has algae meal, which is packed with omega-3s, and let me try to say this, menadione sodium bisulfate complex, which has vitamin K-like properties, which is really good for them. Some cons are this one ranges from about $5 to $6 a bag, but you get 3 pounds for that bag instead of the Oxbow, which is $7 to $8, and you only get 1 pound for that. So it is a good, affordable price. And it does have everything they need, just slightly, it has it in different levels. So it doesn't have as much protein and fiber as I personally prefer, but it does have enough fat, but it doesn't have too much fat. So it's right there, like that golden medium. It does have all the vitamin supplements they need, as well as the omega-3s and the vitamin K as little additions, which is perfect. Okay, and cons, it is a variety style food, so it has different shapes, nuts and seeds, much like their treat does. So this is the KAYTEE, the honey treat. So you see how there's various nuts and seeds in there? That's what their actual food is. And that also gives way for them to selectively eat, like I said, where they only eat out the sunflowers or only eat out the little oat grains instead of getting everything and getting their well-rounded diet. It does have salt high on the ingredient list. I believe it is higher than the Oxbow on the ingredient list. And it has molasses, which contains a lot of sugar, and because of their, they are super prone to diabetes, that kind of, stopped me a little bit. I think, yes. It has artificial coloring in it, which is a huge no-no for me, especially in my animals. No artificial coloring, no artificial flavors, no artificial preservatives. Alright, so overall, this is a decent food. I would say this is very much a middle-of-the-road food. Your hamster will be just fine on it, but you do want to make sure that you're supplementing. You don't want to be giving them tons of fruit because of the molasses content of their food. You do want to be giving them some denser greens to sort of kick up that fiber content as well as the protein. And the last, sorry, I have it all written down here. The last food I'm going to sort of be picking apart is the Higgins Sunburst Gourmet Blend Hamster and Gerbil food. It is about $6 for 2.5 pounds, so super reasonably priced. It has 15% protein, which is really good considering they didn't have any fiber content listed. It does have a 7% fat, so this is a high protein, high fat. I would feed this to babies more than I would an older hamster or gerbil. And that's really all I could find on that one. I do have a pros and cons list, but for food and content percentages, this is all I could find was the protein and the fat. But for pros, I did say that it contains dried beet pulp with the sugar removed. So dried beet pulp is high on the list. It is really good for them, full of antioxidants, whatever I was trying to say. But they did remove the sugar, which is fantastic because of, the diabetes thing. So I always say this wrong. Riboflavin, it has that as a supplement, and that is really good for their nerve and brain health. It also helps lubricate joints in people as well as hamsters, which is super awesome, especially if you get something closer to an elderly hamster. Like, I'm not sure how old the rescue hamsters are, but if ever I come across a treat or something that has a riboflavin supplement in it, I will absolutely be getting it for them, just to make sure that everything, all their juices are flowing the way it needs to flow. That sounded gross. Alright, it also has algae meal in it, which, as we said earlier, was a great source of omega-3. And it has less salt than the other two, but it's still... Okay, it has less salt than the Oxbow and the KAYTEE, but it still has salt high on the list. So I would say that this is a good food. Let me sort of think about this. So if you have a really young hamster, this will be good for them, but you will want to make sure that you are doing fresh fruits and vegetables that are high in calcium and phosphate, because this does not have a lot of that in this. But if you have an elderly hamster, the riboflavin supplement is high enough on the ingredients list that it will be really beneficial for them, and the high protein, high fat content will make sure they don't lose body mass when they start losing collagen and biotin. And the less salt will be good for their blood pressure. Cons, it does have molasses high on the list, but it has molasses high on the list. That's all I can say. It is sugar. It doesn't break down any different than white cane sugar, so that is just something you will have to monitor. And they all, like I said, they all come in resealable bags. Boom. So I would say that the Oxbow is the higher end one that I use, and it fits for my hamsters. Every hamster is different. Every hamster's health needs are different. The KAYTEE FortiDiet these are all great foods. That's what I'm trying to say. You just have to find what makes your hamster feel good, and if that means you have to try all 3 of them, that's what you have to do. Or if you get one and realize your hamster's in need of something else, you can supplement it with a treat or an actual supplement pellet. And that is all I have for you today. Super long video, kind of boring, but it is what it is. Alright, so I hope you guys have a great night, and thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, leave me a cute little comment or something. Also, comment if you have any other like hamster or dog or even horse toys or activities you want me to review or give my opinion on, whatever you would like. Just leave me a comment down below and give this video a thumbs up, and have a great night.